Okay, before we get started, I wanted to show you the two resources that I used to look up this Japanese cotton cheesecake recipe. One is Sprinkle Bakes, and I used Sprinkle Bakes Cotton Soft Japanese Cheesecake recipe. Well, I didn't use it, but I read it, I looked over the instructions, and I also used Jeannie Tay's blog Japanese cheesecake as a resource. So with those two recipes combined, I came up with a more simplified, easier recipe that I could do here at home, and I hope you can try it too. So, the first part is all me. I decided to add the strawberry swirl to this cotton cheesecake, so I am going to roughly chop around 2 cups of strawberries. I actually started out with a pound of strawberries and used half of that, but at some point during the chopping process, I actually ate some. So if I had to give you an exact amount or weight of strawberries, I'm sorry, I would guess around between 8 to 6 ounces of chopped strawberries, but let's just say 2 cups to be safe. So now that they are all chopped, I am going to add freshly squeezed orange. It's probably around 3 tablespoons of orange and 1 teaspoon of granulated sugar, also a pinch of salt. And I'm just going to let these strawberries set for around 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, I'm going to give them a nice mix. And of course, I have to taste one. And now I am just going to blend them to make a strawberry puree, and it's as easy as that. And once I'm done, I'm just going to set it aside and wait to use it towards the end of this recipe. So this gave me a little over a cup of strawberry puree, and I'm going to set this in the fridge until later use. So moving on to the rest of the recipe. So first you want to separate your 5 eggs. You're going to end up with 5 egg yolks and 5 egg whites. And the yolks I am actually going to set out on the counter to come to room temperature along with my cream cheese and butter, by the way. And the egg whites, I am going to place them in the fridge until I need them because you want them to be chilled. But the egg yolks, you want to be at room temperature. And if you have a more convenient, fancy way of separating your egg whites and egg yolks, by all means, use that method. But I'm going to go for the possible eggshell in the bowl method, and I'm going to make sure that I angle my camera so you only see the back of my hand. But in my defense, there's nothing going on except for separation of egg whites and egg yolks. So here we go. Okay, so into the fridge with the egg whites, and I'm going to set aside the egg yolks and show you the rest of the ingredients. Here I will be using, again, my 5 egg yolks, 1 8-ounce block of softened cream cheese, 4 tablespoons of softened butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch or corn flour, and a 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. You could also use cake flour. I will also be using a 1/3 cup of heavy whipping cream, or you could also use whole milk, but I'm using heavy cream. Okay, so to start off, I am going to add my 5 room temperature egg yolks. Remember, these are not cold. I let them sit out for a little while to get the chill off. I'm going to add them in a bowl. And now I am going to also add 4 tablespoons of my softened butter. And I stress to you to make sure that you take out your cream cheese and butter, set it on your counter several hours before you are going to use them to make sure that they soften. Because the original recipe calls for a double boiler to cream together the cream cheese and the butter. But it's a lot more convenient for me to just soften it on the counter as I'm going about my day, and then when I'm ready to make the recipe, it's already softened. It eliminates the double boiler process. So here I am again with my softened cream cheese. I'm going to add the whole 8 ounces, And then I'm just going to use a big whisk and I am going to combine these ingredients and I'm going to cream them. If you have an electric mixer, that works great. But I'm just going to hand mix it with my whisk. And I'm also going to be adding my vanilla, sugar, the salt, and milk, and just whisk and cream this until it is a pale yellow and it's lump free. So here we go. Now that that is all combined, I am now going to sieve in my flour and cornstarch. And then I'm also going to give that a good mix and make sure that it is combined well into my wet ingredients. Okay, so now that all of those ingredients are nice, combined, and creamed together, I am now going to work on my egg whites. And for my egg whites, I am also going to be adding cream of tartar. That is actually going to help stabilize my egg whites after I whip them into stiff peaks. But first, I'm going to use my hand mixer. At this point, you do want to use an electric mixer or a stand mixer with your whisk attachment, and you want to beat your eggs into soft peaks first. And then once they form soft peaks, you want to add your cream of tartar, and it is necessary because that is going to stabilize your egg whites. And then after adding your cream of tartar, you want to beat them again until they form stiff peaks. Okay, so now my egg whites have been whipped into stiff peaks. So now I am ready to fold this into the rest of my batter. And when you fold this into your batter, you want to fold it in by thirds. So I'm going to add a third of the egg whites and gently fold it into the rest of the batter. And once I do that, I'm going to repeat the process 2 more times. Okay, so now that all of my egg whites have been folded into the rest of the batter, here I have an 8 by 3 inch lined round cake pan. I am going to pour half of the batter into the cake pan. I'm going to smooth it out, and now here comes the fun part. This is optional. You can just pour all the batter into the cake pan and have the cotton cheesecake. But at this point, if you want to add the strawberry puree, do so now. And what I'm doing is just messily adding however much strawberry puree I want. And with a chopstick, I am forming these swirls. And I'm not actually touching the bottom of the pan. You want to make sure when you do this, you don't do that. You just gently swirl it around. Now with the rest of the batter, I'm going to pour that on top. And again, repeat the process. I'm going to add some strawberry puree. And again, with the chopstick, I'm going to swirl it around. Now I am going to give my cake pan 3 taps to release any air bubbles. And now I am going to place it in a 9 by 13 inch baking dish. And I went ahead and put a paper towel so it doesn't slide around on me. And now I'm going to add around 4 to 5 cups of water into the baking dish. I basically want the water bath to come up about 1 inch to 1.5 inches surrounding the cake pan. I will be baking my cotton cheesecake in a preheated oven of 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour and 10 minutes. Okay, so it has been 1 hour and 10 minutes exactly, and my cheesecake is done. Now in the recipe, it did say to cook for an additional 10 to 15 minutes if it doesn't spring back, but I found at 1 hour and 10 minutes at 325 degrees Fahrenheit worked just fine. So I'm just gonna drop it onto the counter, and as you can see, it has a beautiful golden brown crust on top. It's just wonderful. So now I am actually going to remove it from the cake pan. And guys, bear with me. I don't have tons of experience, so I clumsily removed it from the baking pan. I think I actually cracked it a little bit when I flipped it over, but you know, I'm an amateur. I learn as I go, but this is all for you. So when you do flip the cake over, just be aware that the parchment paper that's sticking out, it didn't bend so easily, so it kind of made it kind of wonky when I put it on the counter. But alas, I did get it out of the pan, no worries, and it is beautiful. I love the look of the strawberry swirl, and as you can see, it's jiggly. This is one of the characteristics of a soft cotton Japanese cheesecake. So I'm going to let it cool for 30 minutes, and then I can't wait any longer. I have to cut a piece. So here we go. As always, the ingredients will be listed in the description box below. And I have to go in for a bite. The fresh strawberry flavor and the decadent, rich, lighter than air cheesecake just melts in your mouth. So I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching. Hey guys, you can click on the video icons for more recipes, or you can click on my picture icon to subscribe. Thanks for watching.